This land we call home has a rich and varied history stretching back thousands of years. But hidden below the surface are some amazing treasures just waiting to be found.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
That's really cool. So each year across the country, archaeologists dig underground and dive underwater, searching for fresh discoveries.
The most amazing thing in British archaeology.
Uncovering traces of ancient lives.
Somebody's pride and joy, I'm sure.
And finding fascinating objects.
Such exquisite detail.
This year, I'll be meeting the archaeologists and looking at some of their most incredible finds.
I mean, that is stunning.
Well, Dr. Tori Herridge is travelling the length of the country to some spectacular locations.
Where I'll be dropping in on some of this year's most fascinating digs.
Oh my gosh, can you see that?
It's just brilliant.
Oh my goodness.
Every dig provides a new piece in the puzzle of Britain's forgotten past. This is the epic and unfolding story of our islands. Welcome to Digging for Britain. In this episode, archaeologists go searching for the fabled ancient Tin Isles.
Oh my gosh. That is a Bronze Age fingerprint.
Yeah.
Shining a light on the crucial role Cornwall played in the Bronze Age.
It's just destroyed the thing completely.
2 huge Roman swords.
What's the chances of me on my second time detecting to find such a wonderful item?
Give us a new insight into life in Roman Gloucestershire.
What incredible objects.
And an ancient fort surprises the archaeologists.
What seems obvious often isn't, and there's truth is lying in the soil.
The West has some of our most dramatic stretches of coastline. Places that were once connected into ancient trade routes, linking Britain across the seas with the wider world. For our first dig, Tori heads to the Cornish coast to St Michael's Mount, 3 miles east of Penzance.
This island has been a medieval monastery, a Norman fortress, and the site of a Civil War siege. But long before it became a symbol of faith or power, some archaeologists think it may have played a very different role, as a vital hub in an ancient trading network of tin, a resource that fueled the Bronze Age. Tin ore is the crucial material ancient metalworkers refined to create tin, which, when mixed with soft copper, creates bronze, a harder, more durable alloy that shaped daily life in the ancient world. Cornwall was once home to some of the richest tin ore deposits in Europe, and Cornish ore was in demand across the Mediterranean. But the true location of one of the main centres where this ore was processed and traded remains a mystery.
For years, people have claimed that St Michael's Mount is the lost island of Ichthys, the legendary trading hub for tin in the ancient world. It all hinges on the writings of Pytheas, an ancient Greek explorer who visited Britain in around 320 BC. He wrote of locals carting tin across to an island called Ichthys over a sandbar that appeared at low tide. And the similarities with this island are uncanny.
Now, in the first research excavation ever carried out on the island, a team from Durham University and the National Trust is investigating what role St Michael's Mount may have played in the Cornish tin trade. In particular, they're looking for evidence that tin ore was processed, refined into tin ingots and then traded here during the Bronze Age. Leading the dig is archaeologist Ben Roberts.
What was it that was so special about Cornish tin?
Cornish tin was prized because of its purity, and this would have been valued by bronzesmiths all over Europe. The time we're talking about, when there's a huge boom in bronze use, where everyone has apparently got access to as much bronze as they want, that seems to have been driven by these incredibly rich tin sources that we're getting in Cornwall and Devon.
The archaeologists think tin ore mined on the mainland was hauled across to the island at low tide when the causeway was exposed.
Why on St Michael's Mount and not on the mainland where all of the tin ore deposits are?
You can get tin ore almost anywhere in Cornwall, and so there's no central production, but the distribution points have to be central because your traders had to find the place to trade, and this is easily the most visible place from the sea to reach. Here you've got the ideal mooring place for your boats. And the fact that we're on a tidal island is going to make everyone feel a bit safer. When the tide has gone out, you can bring the tin across the land to St Michael's Mount in quantity. And then when the tide came in again, everyone is feeling that little bit safer, negotiations can begin, and then the boats can be loaded up with tin and sail off.
Ben's theory is strengthened by a discovery made in 2009 when head gardener Darren Little uncovered a remarkable hoard of Bronze Age artefacts. Darren, along with Jim Parry from the National Trust, has brought some of those finds to show me.
Look at this.
This is some really rather beautiful Bronze Age metalwork, what's called a Meldrift socketed axe that Darren did an amazing job in finding. But this piece here in particular is what really stumped us and stumped some of the other metalwork professionals, because there's nothing that we know like this.
Well, it's
that's been
obviously a
found.
buckle. It looks modern.
Exactly. So considering we're on St Michael's Mount, the thinking was that could this be a Civil War buckle? But hang on, why is it with something that's so clearly Bronze Age? So with a bit more research in other hoards, they found small bits of something very similar, but nothing with these beautifully pin-in-size decoration lines that run around the edges. So really rather special piece.
How did you feel? I mean, my heart would have been racing.
My heart was racing, yeah. It was, I remember calling the wife, you know, she was saying, oh, tea's ready. I said, I can't come out at the moment, you know, I'm still working, you know, found a few things and I'll be home shortly. And yeah, so it's a one in a lifetime chance to find something like that. It is. Found another 50 odd items of chisels, axe heads, pommels, bits of swords, ingots.
While the hoard is intriguing, the archaeologists need to find more than finished bronze items to prove their theory that tin ore was processed into tin here. The team are concentrating on two areas where earlier geophysical surveys revealed features that might be ancient structures. And almost immediately, the first trench begins to deliver.
Little pottery.
The team's pottery specialist is Imogen Morris.
We've got lots of Bronze Age pottery. Here we've got a rim sherd.
Oh, yes, I can see the rim.
It's got no decoration, and this sort of pottery is called plainware because it's
plain.
pretty plain. Yeah, and this would have been quite a large vessel, quite a simple vessel. So it would have been for cooking, everyday uses. Yeah, perhaps about that high. That's sort
solid
of
cooking pot.
But not all of the pottery is plainware.
We've got quite a beautiful sherd. So you put your fingers in there.
Oh my gosh. That is a
Yeah.
Bronze Age fingerprint. And they would have gone all the way around the edge?
That's it, yeah. It's quite unusual to get decoration, so we're quite lucky to get one that's got those finger
That's
pinches.
incredible.
It really
That's so
connects
cool.
you.
Yes.
The discovery of the pottery suggests there was considerable activity on the island during the Bronze Age. But the team still need evidence of tin ore processing. Nearby, archaeologist Alan Williams is taking a closer look at some of the finds.
Wonderful stone tools.
Now, I do like the look of these.
Some of the most exciting finds we've made at St Michael's Mount.
Can I pick it up?
Absolutely.
Ah.
And you can see it fits really nicely in the
Yes.
hand. So if this has been used for crushing tin ore, we would expect that it would be embedded in between the grains because it's really, really hard. But to show that, we need to analyse the edge of the rock and compare it to the general background in the rock.
Geologist Sean Cleveland has been working on the analysis of the stone tools using a specialist X-ray machine. It can detect the amount of tin on specific parts of the stone. If they were used to crush tin ore, he should see significantly higher readings along the working edge of the stone.
The result we got from the general background in this rock was what, Sean?
100 to 150 ppm.
Okay, amazing.
Whereas the edge of the rock, and Sean?
1,884 ppm.
Oh, okay, so like a whole 10 times
At least.
more.
And we've seen even higher values on other stones. So it's very strong evidence that this is used for tin ore processing.
You got it.
Absolutely. It's the first evidence ever that the St. Michael's Mount was processing tin ore and was part of the tin trade of the Bronze Age.
It's magical that someone used this to grind tin ore on this island 3,000 years ago.
The high levels of tin found on the edges of the crushing stones is evidence that tin ore was being processed here on the island. Could this spot on St. Michael's Mount mark the origin of the Ichthys myth?
Not just a name from legend, but a real place. And for Cornish tin, the gateway to the ancient world.
Cornish tin helped usher in a new age, transforming tools, farming, and society itself. Professor Stuart Pryor is finding out why tin was so important with an experiment that takes us back thousands of years to reveal the knowledge and skills of the ancient metalworkers.
I'm fascinated by experimental archaeology, recreating how things were made in the past. So I've asked metalworking expert Mark Vivian Penny to help me cast a set of bronze axe heads to see if we can create a tool that's genuinely strong and durable. Mark, I see there's a lot of raw materials on the floor in front of you. What have we got?
So this is copper.
Wow.
In order to make that copper stronger, because copper bends, you would need tin. So this is tin. I'll hand you some gravelly bits.
So again, the search for raw materials.
Yeah.
Add a bit of tin.
Tin will make good working bronze, which is what the Bronze Age people used to make all their tools and their weapons. And this is bronze. So
that's much heavier, isn't it?
It is,
and
isn't it?
Obviously much stronger, right?
Very strong material. And you can sharpen it up really sharp and it will keep its edge quite a long time.
So if we start with copper and then we want to add tin, how do we know what the proportion is that they need to add to make the perfect axe?
The best working tool bronze is made with 10% tin. And they would have tried and tested different ways of doing it. And you'd know when you've got it wrong because the metal becomes brittle if there's too much in it. And if it's just too little in it, it won't make any difference at all.
So it's not just a case of adding copper and tin together. You've got to get those proportions right.
Exactly. Helmet's on.
Helmet's on. We're casting 3 different types of axe heads. One with too little tin, one with too much, and one with just the right amount, 10%. Using a modern furnace to speed things up, the metals are heated to over 1,000 degrees Celsius. It's unbelievably hot.
It's going to get hotter.
Once molten, the mix is poured into moulds.
Here comes the crucible, which has melted to the bottom of the furnace. It's so hot.
You can see why they thought it was magical. That is beautiful. Once the metal has hardened, the axe head can be removed from the mould. Wow.
This is the bronze one.
Look at that.
So that's the axe, which is now going to put in that bucket to cool. There we go.
Look at that lovely gloss. It's almost golden, isn't it? So all that heat and all that work, and you get this beautiful axe head at the end. Well done.
Thank you.
Can't wait to see the finished product. Whilst I sharpen the bronze axe head, Mark is busy casting more. Some are just pure copper, and the others are laden with tin. We've got the axes. What's the next step? How do we test to see what's the strongest?
Well, if we hit them with a hammer,
Bronze Age hammer,
we can find out how much damage they would take. So this is the copper one. We'll try that one. So.
Few dents.
Few dents in it, yeah.
So this has almost no tin in it.
That one's almost pure copper.
But it does make a serviceable axe, but not a very hard-wearing, resistant one. Don't want to hit the next one.
Well, this one's got just the right amount of tin in it. So let's have a go with the hammer.
God, you can really hear that ringing, can't you? That's a beautiful axe, that one. It's virtually no dents in this. You can really see that it rings like a bell. It's a much more sturdier material. It's a beautiful golden colour. You can imagine this in the hands of the warriors at the time.
Exactly.
Yeah?
It's amazing. We did this experiment to find out what's the right proportion of copper and tin. This one's got no tin in it, and this one's got far too much tin in it. We'll do the hammer test, and we'll see what happens.
Oh, oh no! It's just destroyed the thing completely.
Yeah.
My God, it's incredible.
It is.
That is completely useless.
It is.
Chocolate axe. Yeah, chocolate axe. Waste of time. You'd be very disappointed if you'd been sold that, wouldn't you? So you've got to get that mixture right. You've got to get that 10%, or you've got something that's not functional at all.
Exactly.
Yeah? Can I try the other one? See how bad that one is?
Yeah.
We'll see if we've done a better job. Ready?
Yeah.
No, it's destroyed as well.
Destroyed as well.
That is hopeless.
Yeah.
It's amazing that that sounds great. So we've done a really good job with this one. But this one, you can see, if you don't get that 10% mixture right, you get complete dross.
Yes.
Yeah? It's just amazing. But I do feel like I'm a bronzesmith now. Hey!
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Throughout the west of Britain, archaeologists have long uncovered fragments of the lives that have gone before us. But the dig itself is only ever the beginning of the story. Next, we follow up on an excavation that took place in the town of Haverfordwest in Wales, 10 miles north of Pembroke.
Archaeology is an evidence-based discipline, and sometimes that evidence challenges our preconceptions. In fact, that's when I find it most exciting. Now, some years ago, I visited a medieval priory site in Haverfordwest, and we thought we knew what was going on there. But Professor Naomi Sykes is visiting the lab where the analysis is revealing an unexpected story.
As a zooarchaeologist and scientist, I'm interested in those moments when science begins to challenge what we think archaeology is telling us. And it's in the lab, during post-excavation analysis that the real story often emerges. And this one begins in the medieval period. When Digging for Britain visited Haverfordwest, an incredible story was emerging.
That is beautiful. Look at that.
Evidence for the long-lost Dominican friary of St Saviour's, which had been hidden for centuries.
The whole building would have been impressive, indicative of a high-status monastic building.
Almost 300 burials were recovered, giving us our first glimpse into the lives of the medieval friars and the local townsfolk that they served. At the time, archaeologists thought that they were looking at a friary and its cemetery. But now, post-excavation research at Cardiff University is rewriting the story, revealing a site that may have been far more than just a burial ground. Lab analysis of the skeletons reveals that several individuals had endured serious, life-threatening injuries. That raises new questions about who they were and why they were buried in this friary cemetery. Dr. Kira O'Brien-Butler is part of the investigation team.
This is a male, a middle-aged male, who has suffered severe sharp force trauma that has nearly sliced off the back of the skull there. This one is a sharp force trauma as well, probably from a projectile. So they've survived these injuries for quite some time after.
Wait, they survived this?
Yes, so this is healed. It has kind of reattached to the back of the skull there, and they've lived for possibly years after these injuries occurred. And that's not the only thing they have that's healed. They broke their jaw at some point in their life as well. So look at this. There's quite severe trauma there as well that's totally changed the angle of the jaw.
Would this have affected their ability to eat?
Yes, definitely, I think. But interestingly, despite this, we still have some evidence for quite a rich diet in this individual. So we have some pathology of the vertebra there called dish, where these two vertebrae have fused, and it happened all up the spine as well. This is associated in modern clinical practice with diabetes and obesity, and in the past we associate it with monastic diets. So quite rich, fatty foods, alcohol consumption, red meat. They could have been at the site and enjoying a similar diet, being looked after by the monks.
Okay, so is this an isolated instance amongst the population that you've been looking at?
No, so we have a lot of evidence for traumatic injuries and care in this population. This individual has a bit of iron embedded in the back of their femur, so the back of their upper thigh. That likely is from a projectile, and we can see the bone is healing. They also had lots of healed fractures throughout the rest of their skeleton, so healed fractures of the feet, ribs, and also of the hands, and so evidence for quite rough lives, but some healing as well.
Kira believes the fact these people survived such severe injuries and showed signs of a rich, fatty diet suggests they were being cared for and supported within the community. But who were they? Where had they come from? And how had they ended up in a friary cemetery? To find more answers, the team at Cardiff University is using isotope analysis. The technique examines chemical traces in bones and teeth to reveal clues about a person's origins and movements. Leading the work is archaeological scientist Professor Richard Madgwick.
So isotope analysis can tell us a whole range of aspects about human lives. Whilst the science behind it can be a bit complex, the principles are really very simple. You are what you eat, you are where you eat, and to some degree you are how you eat. So every time humans consume food and drink, chemical signals from those products enter the body, enter our skin, our hair, our nails, and handily for archaeologists, our bones and our teeth. So by analysing tiny fragments, we can reconstruct all sorts of aspects about movement, diet, and health in the past.
Different chemical elements preserved in bones and teeth can reveal detailed clues about past lives. In particular, strontium and oxygen can be analysed together to show where a person was born and grew up.
Strontium gives us a geological signal for where individuals were during the development of their teeth, and oxygen gives us a climatic signal relating to temperature and rainfall. So they work together well in terms of looking at origins. We've boxed the approximate local range here for not just Haverfordwest, but probably more broadly Wales. And we can see the diversity within that local range hints that they're not all directly from Pembrokeshire. We've got quite a few individuals that sit outside of that local range, and they must have come from further afield.
So do we have any idea where they might have come from?
The fact that these oxygen values are really very high, they're beyond what we would think could be achieved in Wales, hints that they come from a more westerly zone like Ireland. And we know historically that there are some strong links between Pembrokeshire and Ireland. So, I mean, it's tantalising, but I think it's highly likely these individuals have come from there originally.
The lab has transformed the story of the Dominican Friary of St. Saviour's. The bones, once thought to tell a simple monastic tale, now reveal lives touched by trauma, care, and resilience. Far from just a cemetery, the evidence suggests that this was a place where Dominican friars treated the sick and injured, welcoming people from across Britain and beyond. And it's only due to the power of science, by combining osteology, isotopes, and history, that we can build a more complete picture of a medieval community.
Reams of stories reeled me in, cocked my ear and hooked my chin. A Friday dinner, a fish-struck sinner, pull me down, Lord, put me in.
Every year, seasoned archaeologists across Britain unearth objects that tell stories of the past. But some remarkable discoveries are made by enthusiastic amateurs.
Now we're catching up with a spectacular discovery, a chance find that turned out to be something of national importance.
The story began in 2023 in a quiet field on the edge of the village of Willersey, 30 miles northeast of Gloucester. Novice metal detectorist Glenn Manning was looking forward to his day. As he began his afternoon sweep, he had no idea he was about to make a discovery that would offer a rare glimpse into the Roman period.
Just after lunch, I came up here and I remember the organiser shouting to me, people have already done that. You need to go over to that part of the field and have a look. But somebody just told me, just carry on doing what you're doing. The metal detector all of a sudden picked up a signal, but it was a little bit jumpy, so I dug down into the ground, probably about 8 to 10 inches, and using my handheld pinpointer, I came across what just looked like old metal that had a slight point to it. But the patina on it told me that it was something like copper. I thought, this looks like a sword, but what's the chances of me on my second time detecting to find such a wonderful item?
And in fact, Glenn had uncovered not one, but 2 ancient swords. Far longer than the gladius, the short stabbing sword usually associated with Roman soldiers, Glenn had found something remarkable.
I didn't know how to feel. That's the funny thing. I was quite calm. My feelings obviously have changed now because I understand how rare it is to find something like that. There's a lot of historic value. There's a lot of learning to be done in relation to these swords.
When Glenn first discovered the swords, they were so muddied and corroded, it was impossible to tell much about them. But now, after being carefully conserved and x-rayed, the weapons are finally giving up their story. Historic England conservator Carla Graham and Corinian Museum director Emma Stewart have brought them to the Digging for Britain tent.
Oh, Carla, hello. Hello. I've been looking forward to this. I mean, what incredible objects.
These are very long swords, aren't they? I mean, obviously Romans had lots of different types of swords. The gladius was a short one, wasn't it? This isn't a gladius.
No, so these are spadra, so they're kind of much longer. They would have been carried by cavalrymen on horseback.
Okay.
And what we still have, which you can see on the surface here, is that we've got the remains of the wooden scabbard. The wood's decayed away, but the rust has preserved the wood grain. So we've got it on here and on the hilt as well. And on this particular sword, the much kind of very bright orange, that's the remains of the wood there as well. And we've also got at the ends here these beautiful shapes that were attached to the wooden scabbards and would have protected the soldiers from getting stabbed by their own.
It's very useful when you're on a horse.
Yes.
You don't want that, do you?
So yes.
So these are obviously copper alloy. They would have been bright and shiny, wouldn't they?
Very bright and shiny, and they're decorated. And the swords themselves, the Carinium Museum asked us if we could X-ray them. And what was really exciting about the X-rays is it shows that they're quite different.
Have you got the X-rays?
I have got the X-rays.
Can we have a look at them?
Yes, you certainly can. So we did a little bit of enhancement.
So there are some lines coming through here.
Yes, you can see some lines going down, a bit like a herringbone pattern.
Yeah.
And that shows that this one is pattern welded. It would have looked amazing. It's basically lots of either strips or rods of metal which were woven, hammered together, and then a cutting edge put on the outside. And the reason that we're seeing it in the X-ray is because there's a differential corrosion, which is fantastic because it shows up this pattern very well.
Amazing, because I mean, you cannot see that, can you?
There's
here?
nothing to see
You
that. I
really
mean, you've
can't
got
see
the
it.
grooving down the centre, but that's not the pattern. The only way you can see it is in this X-ray. And what's interesting is one is pattern welded and the other one isn't. So it's higher status, this one.
And we're looking at objects that seem to have gone into the ground in a fairly pristine condition.
Yes, they've been deliberately buried. They're very carefully placed, so they've not been lost. They haven't been bent and destroyed. You can see some potential textile remains, so we're not quite sure if they were bound
They could have been
together.
wrapped in fabric as well.
Could have been wrapped in fabric, could have been part of the scabbard. In the ground, they were lying one on top of the other, next to the fragments of a bowl here.
Tell me about this bowl, because, I mean, this is part of the same group of objects. What does this tell us?
This is quite high status in the same way as the pattern welded sword. It's really beautifully decorated. It's obviously quite fragmentary now because this was slightly above the swords, so this suffered the damage first. Some of the pieces were ploughed out, unfortunately. But you can see some beautiful decoration and this deliberate circular pattern. There's no need to do this for functionality.
Can I handle these
You
things?
are more than welcome to, yes.
Very much. So it looks like it would have had quite high sides.
Yes. This is a fragment of the rim, so you can see that lovely lip around the edge there.
And it's got some pattern or some ghost of something here.
Yes, that's right. This was revealed at conservation, and the conservators had to clean off the mud and the earth and everything.
Yeah.
And it would appear that this piece, which we originally thought was part of the scabbard, actually fits perfectly in that piece there.
So I saw that and I thought it was a coin. It's not a coin then?
It's not a coin, it's a piece of decoration by the looks of things around this rim area.
Given that it's decorated and you can tell a certain amount about its style, does that help you to date it as well?
It's probably contemporary with the swords, so late 3rd century, around 290.
And then what's that?
So this piece, it's a different type of metal. So you've just felt the rim. If you have a feel of that, you can feel it's thicker.
Oh, it's thicker and heavier.
It's not as beautifully polished. This would have been a lidded bowl with something inside it, deposited inside it. It may have been sort of ceremonial deposit, with these being deliberately buried. That's a possibility.
Yeah, you've got to think about all the possibilities, haven't you? And you've got a find like this where you don't know the wider context. It's kind of delightfully mysterious. I want to know.
Yes.
I really want to know why these objects were buried together.
And wonderfully well preserved. And even though they look like rusty objects, there's quite a lot of metal still in there. And you can tell by the weight. I can let you feel the weight of this sword.
My hand here. That is heavier than I expected. That actually is quite a lot heavier. And that's this beautiful pattern welded sword, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Nearly 2,000 years old.
It is curious because they are objects on their own. They don't have a context. I mean, do we even know if there was any Roman cavalry in the area?
There were. There was a Roman cavalry base just outside of Carinium, which is Cirencester, which is not too far away.
Okay.
Later in the Roman period, there is evidence of Roman military, but there is an interesting shift because there was quite a lot of banditry along the Fosse Way, And civilians were known to carry cavalry swords. It's possible that 2 soldiers may have been killed, and this is the wares that were dumped, because if civilians were found with this type of material and there were 2 soldiers dead, then you can trace it to them.
They're hiding the evidence.
That's a possibility. But it's looking like, in terms of the whole context, you've clearly got Roman military kit here. There was something special about these swords, something special about this bowl for somebody to deposit them all together.
Yeah. Why did they do it? I mean, we'll never know, will we? But what we do know is that they never came back. Each new artifact can be a source of insights into ancient lives and technologies. But sometimes researchers face a challenge with objects that are so fragile that they're actually impossible to handle. Archaeology isn't just about making new discoveries. We can employ technology now to study, recreate, and even handle objects that were dug up a long time ago. Archaeologist Meg Russell is looking at how cutting-edge techniques are helping to unlock secrets about Roman surgery.
I'm fascinated by objects from the past, and it's only natural to want to pick them up. But some artifacts are so fragile that even the lightest touch can cause damage. And when you can't handle them safely, it becomes much harder to understand how they worked or what they were used for. 125 years ago, a remarkable set of Roman surgical tools was pulled from a river. After spending centuries submerged, the bronze instruments are now so corroded and fragile that touching them risks further deterioration. At the University of Exeter, researchers are pioneering techniques that let them peer beneath those corroded layers to reveal the metalwork underneath. Clues that could transform our understanding of how these tools were designed, manufactured, and used. Professor Rebecca Fleming is on hand to explain.
These Roman surgical instruments were found in the River Walbrook in London. And we've got a scalpel handle, we've got 2 needles, and we've got 2 very thin probes, and a slightly larger spoon as well.
Wow, some of these are so delicate and tiny.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see a few little details. How difficult is it to work with artifacts that you can't touch yourself?
I think it's particularly difficult in this case because these are tools that we use for surgical operations, and if we can't get the feel of them and try them out in various ways and really get a sense of exactly how they were constructed, that limits our possibilities in terms of understanding them in various ways.
What methods can we use to understand them better?
The technique that we use more particularly here is 3D scanning, like a CT scan, a sort of 3D X-ray for objects, which really gives you a very detailed picture of the surface, all of its different imperfections, any details of crafting, which is invaluable for us.
And is there anything that you specifically hope the CT scans might show us today?
Yes, definitely. So as you can see, this scalpel handle would have originally been an iron or steel blade, and clearly that is replaced pretty regularly, so a lot of attention would have gone into thinking about how to make the holder. And then thinking about these 2 needles, this looks very straightforward. This one has something quite different going on in terms of where it might have been threaded, so it would be interesting to look at that.
Curator Megan Woolley from the Devon and Exeter Medical Heritage Trust is the only person permitted to handle these fragile instruments. She is securing each one in inert foam and covering with acid-free tissue to create a custom support so it can be scanned safely. Placed on a rotating platform, this high-resolution scanner will capture every tiny detail. It's a painstaking process, with each scan taking more than 7.5 hours. These look fantastic, Rebecca.
This is a full-on grayscale image containing all of the data. You can already start to see some of the detail in terms of the scoop of the spoon and the different sort of eyes of the needle. Things that are darker are denser, and we can visualise that much more clearly in different colours.
Look at that! That's fantastic.
The blue is the densest, and then green, and then going less dense, orange and yellow. There are two things that are of significance, one of which is about the object in its original form, and maybe it was actually intentional, that parts of it were less dense, parts of it were more dense in terms of strength or in terms of balance. Particularly for scalpels, balance is very important. And then the other thing is conservation and looking after these objects. Now, you can see if there's a particular area of weakness, so it's obviously valuable information for the curators.
And that's not all. These scans are so data-rich that they can be sent straight to the engineering lab. Oh my gosh, look at these! Where 3D printers machine precise replicas, allowing us to finally get hands-on with incredibly detailed copies.
It's really fascinating to see the processes at work, and even more interesting to see the results in various ways. This is that complex needle that we talked about. Now you can get really to grips with the complexities of it. So it's got a sizable hole there, which you could thread in various different ways. And then it's also got a hole here. That second hole is a surprise. You couldn't see it in the actual artifact itself at all. We haven't been able to find anything that looks exactly the same. There's clearly more to that than just sewing up bandages.
I love that now you can tell a little bit more potentially about function of these objects. I mean, this must just lift a lot of limitations for you with what you can and can't see with the real thing.
Exactly, and you can start to think about the scalpel handle. You can see the sort of thought that's gone into this. You have the flat, and then you have something that you can hold. The blades would have been put there. This would have opened, and you'd use this to pull it apart, and then it would snap back together. And this is obviously very practical. So this is in a resin, but you can do 3D printing in metal. So you could try and print it in bronze and then get a nice scalpel blade, put it in the hand of a surgeon practicing today and see what they made of it. We've got the texts that talk about different sorts of operations. So do the tools seem to be appropriate for the kind of practices that are being described?
The more I handle these tools, the more I see how technology is bridging the gap between the past and present. And it's not just medical instruments. This technology can be applied to all kinds of items. By recreating them and putting them to use, we bring multiple disciplines together, opening up endless possibilities to explore and understand ancient artifacts in entirely new ways.
Every year, across the West, archaeologists embark on new digs. Sometimes they set out with a good idea of what they might find, but when the digging starts, they have to be ready for their theories to be turned on their heads. For our next dig, Tori is heading to the wild southwest coast of Wales, to Buckspool in Pembrokeshire.
This has to be one of the most spectacular and precarious sites I've ever filmed at. This whole area is an active military training zone, and because it's off limits to the public, the archaeology here has stayed remarkably intact.
Perched on a headland jutting into the Celtic Sea, a team of archaeologists and military veterans are investigating 2 circular structures. From the air, the site shows all the hallmarks of a promontory fort dating back over 2,000 years to the Iron Age. This stretch of coastline was once dotted with promontory forts, remote and exposed to the elements. But what were they for, and who might have lived in a place like this? Archaeologist Richard Osgood is leading the dig.
Richard, this is properly spectacular. This is just gorgeous.
It's such an elemental place, isn't it? Really, really beautiful. This is Buckspool Promontory Fort.
That has an awful lot of information in the name.
Yeah.
On a promontory.
Yep.
We can't argue with that.
That's true.
Is it a fort?
Good question. I think this is more about impressing your neighbours, having big ditches and ramparts for sure, but this is a showy thing. So I think it's much more than defensive and military.
So this is the way in?
It is the way in. You can see the big ditch here and the embankment behind it. It would have been, I think, quite a bit deeper, and you would have had a higher rampart behind with a big timber palisade and the massive timber gateway that we're standing under at the moment. So this would have been hugely impressive.
When you paint that picture there, you just realise, not only how monumental that would have felt, but coming in from this kind of relatively flat land to dramatic, deep-sided ditches,
Yeah.
towering gate, great wall in front. You wouldn't be able to see anything ahead of you. You have no idea what's coming next.
Everything from this point onwards is a surprise when you get into the settlement.
Because of its location, the archaeology here has remained largely unexplored. But early surveys and aerial imagery suggest that this is the footprint of 2 Iron Age roundhouses.
We're now within the settlement area. We've come through these Iron Age defences and we're into the excavation proper of these structures. So you've got the circle defined by these blocks of limestone, but it cuts through a little passageway into a second one. So you're looking at a figure of 8 of these 2 circular structures.
They seem big. Is that big for a roundhouse?
Not especially big for a roundhouse. There are 2 courses, at least, going around there, sat on top of the bedrock and forming this arc, presumably once of a circle.
There's a big tumble of rock there. That's bedrock,
So
right,
this is where it gets confusing, because if this is a round house, the last thing you want is that as your floor. So I'm not entirely convinced, even if there's a scree of earth put over it, that that is a floor.
Iron Age roundhouses typically had a single entrance and a stone hearth in the centre for cooking and heating.
We've not got those elements that would just scream roundhouse at you. I think it's more than that, because you've got this arc of stones in a couple of courses, but I've not got that hearth. The entranceway is probably there, but is it actually connecting you with a third structure, in which case you've got 3 cells connected to another, but is that the sort of thing you get in a living structure? I don't think it is.
And the mystery deepens as none of the small finds appear to have any connection to the Iron Age.
What have you been finding then?
Coins. Lots of coins here today. It's unbelievable. I found 9 this morning. Found a couple around here and some over there. It's just odd that they're like around here.
Well, it's really odd, isn't it? If this is some kind of roundhouse, this would be where the door would be roughly, isn't it? Sort of coming in here.
Yeah, that way, yeah.
Yeah, coming in that way. So it's a bit of a mystery. I mean, it is. It does feel like this place is turning up unexpected things.
And even more unexpected is that these coins all date from the Roman occupation of Britain. It's a twist that changes the story. Archaeologist Fran Murphy is trying to piece together the puzzle.
Oh, wow, okay. It's just like bag after bag of coins.
So those are just some of the selection that have been found.
This coin is Emperor Constantine, and he is 4th century. Also, we've had coins of Carausius.
Okay, and when's Carausius?
Late 3rd.
This is a lovely coin. You can really see the profile of the head there. And is that one next to it also?
Well, this is a little minim.
What's a minim?
This is the smallest denomination, just a few millimetres in diameter. What is interesting is that we don't normally find these coins. One, they're difficult to find, but equally the numbers that we're finding them. So if you were coming here to ask the gods to help you in something, you use your lowest denomination coin. It's like throwing a penny or a 2p into a wishing well. Is that what they're doing? Is that why we're getting this big concentration of coins?
Alongside the coins, the team is unearthing a considerable amount of pottery.
We have probably now got one of the biggest assemblages of Roman pot from southwest Wales from this small site. And the quantity itself is gobsmacking, the number of rim sherds. A lot of it is black burnished ware. Some of the wares we just don't see around here. One thing that's really interesting is all these objects are broken. And there is a theory that you're planting materials in pits as an offering for future prosperity, depositing bits of everything they need for life as an offering with a coin, bringing goods which they want to deposit in this area because it has some significance.
Having uncovered the pottery and more than 160 coins, the team is beginning to think this place may have held a special spiritual significance long after the Iron Age, during the later Roman period. And the landscape itself may help explain why this spot held such power. Archaeologist Toby Driver is a specialist in Welsh hill forts.
It's just so dramatically vertical on either side.
It's a different life you have here. It's a cultural phenomenon living on the coast in prehistory and Roman times here. We know Celts saw their gods residing in remote, dangerous places, and nowhere is that more dramatic than at the coast. We have antiquarian writers describing this. The slam of waves into these coastal chasms being like gunshots, and these enormous sprays of foam with rainbows being cast. Now, we understand what a rainbow is today, but 2,000 years ago, what on earth do they think about that? Were the gods angry at particular times of year, particular seasons? In most of the ancient world, people are chucking stuff into chasms, sacrifices, offerings as well, and that may have been a very important part of what Buckspool was 2,000 years ago.
Imagine walking over that rock arch. The waves are booming, the spray is coming up and catching the light. It would feel like you're passing into a different world here.
Yep. We've just learned more about Buckspool in the last 2 weeks than we have in decades. But all that new knowledge, we've got to process it, we've got to think of new ways to understand this life at the edge of the coast.
So what seemed like quite a simple story is actually turning out to be far more complicated, mysterious.
Absolutely, and that is why you dig, because it looked really logical. You've got a promontory fort, you've got geophysics, you've got LiDAR, load of circles, round houses, people living in here in the Iron Age, job done. And it's not like that. There's so much more complexity here. I think that's what really excites about archaeology, isn't it? Because what seems obvious often isn't, and there's truth is lying in the soil.
While the promontory fort may still have its roots in the Iron Age, Richard now thinks that by the Roman period, this place was evolving into something different. A place where offerings may have been made to the gods, all perched on the very edge between the known world and the spiritual realm.
The promontory fort at Buckspool is a great example of how archaeology can challenge our expectations and our ideas about the past, turning a simple story into something more complex and compelling.
Richard went in with an idea. He thought he was going to be excavating Iron Age roundhouses in this promontory fort, and it would help them understand the nature of what was going on there. And then they started digging, and the finds were Roman, overwhelmingly Roman. Nothing that could be definitively tied to the Iron Age.
I always enjoy it when archaeologists find something they're not expecting.
The richness of this site astounded all of the archaeologists working there. All of these Roman coins, a really huge number of them, including like really small denominations. This is not like a kind of wealthy hoard that has been stashed somewhere. It's kind of small change stuff.
But of course, that Roman date doesn't mean that that site didn't exist and wasn't occupied in the Iron Age. So the crucial thing here will be all of the post-excavation analysis that Richard and his team will do, and then we'll get a much bigger picture and we'll know how long that settlement lasted, how far back in time it goes, whether it does extend right back into the Iron Age as well.
Yeah, and what it was. I mean, I think that's the big overwhelming question is like, still, what was it? Definitely a watch this space situation, I think, with this promontory fort.
Here on Digging for Britain, we're not accustomed to blowing our own trumpet.
It's more tuneful than I thought it would be.
But what a year it's been.
The most amazing thing in British archaeology.
We've seen evidence of life here stretching back further than ever before.
This stuff was already fossilised by the time dinosaurs were walking around.
Some finds were a privilege to uncover.
You were the first person to see that for 1,400 years.
That is phenomenal.
Others were best left alone.
This is a bottle of 85-year-old beer.
Yeah, I think that can stay in there.
But each one sheds new light on the stories of people who lived and died on these shores.
We dig for those whose stories lie with buried past and futures one.
It really brings back a lot of humanity to what we're studying, thinking about how they may have lived, how they may have died.
There's a child buried with weapons as the man that he would have become.
He's been subjected to surgery.
Yes.
I wonder who he was.
Coins for the eyes, keys for the door, fortress, great goods chamber.
It's amazing to touch the past in such a personal way.
And so we're glued to who we are and where we were and why we were.
We've discovered that our ancient ancestors weren't all that dissimilar to us. They liked to kick back and relax.
In their leisure time, they're sitting beside the hearth, they're playing games.
They had a sense of the aesthetic.
Such a poignant connection to this person, and all that's surviving in the grave of them is their incredible style.
And they entrusted their legacy to those who followed them.
It's a treasured item. It has passed down through the generations.
Yeah. It's an heirloom.
Yeah.
All across Britain, archaeologists continue to dig for clues to past lives. Who knows what treasures are waiting to be unearthed next year?